Hey, Lee Wolf here. Welcome to Game Face Monday. We are live on this beautiful Monday, and I haven't been around for a few weeks, been on the road doing some business, but I'm glad to be back and sitting by Richie's side. And today we have a special guest. His name is Nicholas Costas from Southtown Motors, and he's a sales professional there. How you guys doing?
Good, Lee.
Doing pretty good.
Welcome back, Lee.
Yeah, thanks. We're going to be hitting the topic of pre-owned versus new cars today, and why pre-owned is really starting to has been gaining some pretty serious momentum. And Nicholas is going to give us a little bit of an inside look from the dealership perspective, and I'm sure Richie's going to have a lot to say about that as well. But first, as usual, we're going to just break away for 1 minute to hear from our sponsor, Shop Smart Autos.
We continue to show dealerships across the country how to retain their customers. But now Shop Smart Autos wants to bring the new customers right to your showroom floor. The car they want? It's sitting on your lot. And Shop Smart Autos can bring you the VIN-specific leads that take them straight to your door. These aren't just leads. They're nurtured, targeted, and matched down to the exact vehicle. You'll sell more cars faster, and your team is going to thank you for it. Shop Smart Autos VIN-specific leads. Let SSA show them the way to your showroom floor.
All right, we are back. We are still alive and live. So, Nicholas, just give us a quick rundown of where you came from and how you got to where you are today.
So I actually started off, I got in the car business by accident. At the time I was looking for a job. I thought, hey, I like vehicles. I could apply to be an oil change technician at a Kia dealership. Somehow that application ended up in the sales pile. Get a call from the sales manager. I'm like, okay, that's different. I go in, interview, get the job, start selling cars, realize I'm not cut out for the corporate world. It's just not me. I don't like the way that it is. Hey, to each their own. Came here to Southtown, that's been in the business since 1984. So needless to say, we kind of know what we're doing. And I've been here for the past 4 years and some change. And honestly, I'm very pleased to call this place my home. I wouldn't want to work anywhere else.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. So the topic that we're knocking around with today is the pre-owned versus the new car market. And it's not that the new car market isn't important. It's very important. Right. There are still people buying new cars and such, but there are a lot of obstacles in the way that Richie's been talking to me about over the last week. And it's giving a boost now to pre-owned sales, and dealers are having issues with holding on to them and having inventory now. What are your thoughts on this shift?
You mean as far as the move kind of migrating towards used cars more?
Yeah.
So I definitely think a big part of it is price. I mean, the average cost of a new car is $50,000, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got people on that lower income bracket. They can't afford the $1,200 monthly car payment, so to speak. So I do see a big shift moving towards used instead of new. And it's not just because of money. It's also because, well, when you have a used car or something that's been pre-owned, it's had most of its kinks worked out, if you will. For example, I had a friend that she just bought a 26 Trailblazer, and 6 days later, it's cutting off at red lights. Not like the auto start stop thing; it's shutting off completely.
Yeah.
And then her radio would just decide to quit working at random times. With a used vehicle, you hope and pray that all the recalls and funny issues and things like that, and most of the time they have been fixed by that point.
Right.
And it's always, I think, a little bit better to not be the one that puts an engine through its break-in period. I kind of let someone else do that because I've got a lead foot. So
okay. All right, cool deal. Yeah, and also Richie, so besides price and the idea of that Nick was, do you mind if I call you Nick?
Go ahead.
Okay, that Nick was talking about, with the the state that the vehicle itself is in. Also, buying a new car, you in the first couple of years lose a tremendous amount of value as compared to a pre-owned car, right?
Yes, correct. And to talk a little bit about that, it's real simple. A car doesn't cost new cars what the OEM says it costs, because why? You got advertising dollars, you got recalls on there, you got warranties on there, so that cost, you lose it. It's depreciation. A car is a commodity, right? A commodity that depreciates, right?
Yeah.
When we had COVID, it up appreciated, right? Which was really, really different, right?
Right.
So what's going on, and I wanna have this time to let's talk about the experience that we've had with the lead generation, right? Our experience with the lead generation has been like this. A customer sends a lead out. That customer following it up, and it's a challenge, following it up and getting that customer into the showroom. It takes about anywhere between 25 to 40 touches. Okay.
Wow.
And what is different about when customers were not online as much and they would walk into the showroom? The difference was they were engaging with a salesman instead of a virtual thing, and you were able to have a good closing ratio because they like the store, they like the salesman. It's an emotional thing. So the whole goal is what ShopSmart does. It brings the customer from the online perspective into that showroom.
There's
right?
a bridge. There's a bridge.
Right, like it used to be, right? Which was a much easier sales process because the customer, puts themselves talking to salespeople as asking all these questions. And, sometimes you can talk yourself out of a deal as you're following up the customer, right?
Right.
So we take that and we understand what that process is very well because we're a lead gen, right? So we have it's like a car when it first gets made, you got recalls. Well, we had a recall with ShopSmart thinking that here's the leads and that's it. Well, they don't really work. And a lot of people with the AI agents and all that are saying that, not just Chris, it's all over the web right now as far as the conversion. And it makes a lot of sense of what's going on. So if we go back to history, customer walks into the showroom, you have a good closing ratio, the customer doesn't buy, let's say they don't buy, they leave. Now you got to follow up the customer, but you already have that face-to-face virtual relationship. Now here, we all went with online. Nick does a very good job with TikTok. I got to say that. Does a very good job bringing in the customers. And these sales professionals that are on TikTok do a great job trying to bring in that customer. But it's always a challenge of getting that customer in the door. So that process is really not perfect yet, but it's getting a lot better. I got to say this. It's getting a lot better. I talk to these sales professionals all the time on TikTok. I mean, my show's right now booked for 5 weeks with all these sales professionals, trying to find out what they're doing, how it can help ShopSmart, right? And in return, how they could be doing with our leads, right? So the biggest opportunity now is used cars. That's one of the best opportunities there is. It's not like 08 or 09. It's just the market is called discipline.
Right.
That's what it is. It's discipline. So we went from, people walked in the showroom, they were ready to buy while COVID and all that, and it was an easy process. As now you have to follow up the customer, like Nick was saying just before the show. One of the things he was pointing out, sometimes you don't have the right vehicle, right? Or the right customer. Well, here's what it is. We have to be more of a coach. If you talk about what brokers are doing, right? versus what dealers are doing. When a broker sells a car, right? They are actually coaching that customer. Whether the OEM says don't sell to brokers, it doesn't matter, because I know plenty of brokers that get a fee of $1,000, right, to just negotiate the deal.
Right.
Because the customer is getting tired of going into the store and you're putting them on this car, on that car. That's not the car they want. This is the car we want, And sometimes price becomes a problem. Sometimes with the pre-owned department, what happens is you got an LTV problem as the Manheim prices are so high now. People got to give this more down payment. So other than that, it's scaling the used car business.
Mm-hmm.
Right before the show, I had somebody that I talked to, has a dealership out in Staten Island. It's a pretty good group. The used car business is unbelievable. Not too long ago, I had another local dealership here in New York that told me the used car business is great. We need new car leads. That's where the issue is. So, right. Nick, you're sitting in a gold mine in your store. Talk to us about what do you see as far as the customer that's walking in and wants to purchase a used car?
Lately, it's been, and this is too just because of the time of year that it is, right around tax season. Lately, we've had a lot of people that are indeed interested in automobiles, but just because of either their financial or their credit situation, this, that, or the third, unfortunately, they're not able to get into anything. That's what I've been seeing happen a lot. Or you'll have somebody who as you said, Richie, some of these brokers are kind of coaching and educating these customers when they purchase a car. But sometimes education can be bad, especially when it's the incorrect information.
Yeah, right.
And
which is most
sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes we'll get someone up here. For example, we've got a Corvette, listed for about $33,900, and the guys want to know if we'll take $25,000 for it.
Right.
Sorry, we're a used car lot. I don't have $11,000 in markup. I don't have, all this other corporate stuff that's connected to the OEM that I have to deal with. If it were up to me, sure, I'd sell it to you for $25,000, but I go out of business real quick.
Right.
And it's finding that middle ground in being personable and being still a salesperson, because at the end of the day, you're both human beings. There's no need to get upset with each other. But also, again, at the end of the day, I have my own bills to pay. I have to remember that I have to survive the end of the month too. No matter how badly I want to help out this individual, I've sat in here and listened to their story about how they gone through divorce or whatever, and I hate it for them. I really do. That's what makes this job a little bit difficult for me sometimes, is that I actually have a moral compass. But it's finding that middle ground, and also pointing them in the right direction with education. Say, just because you couldn't do this today, here's a plan of what we can do to help you and make this happen in 15 days. Not just, you can't buy a car, see you later.
Right. Or we'll give the car, right. We want to help you, but we don't want to give you the keys to the kingdom at the same time, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And let's talk about that, Nick, okay? So when that happens, you have a customer that walks in the showroom, right? And you got the car at $33,900. Now it becomes a price thing, right? So at that point, I only got $25,000. I agree that car might be a little bit pricey, but let me share something about this dealership that we do. We sell you a quality pre-owned vehicle. You're buying a vehicle, but you're also buying a relationship here. I've been here XYZ years, okay? And I'm here to keep the service going in your vehicle, because after all, let's face it, Mr. Customer, when you buy a car, You can buy a car real cheap from any dealership. Are they still going to be in business? We've been in business since 1980 or whatever time we've been in business, right? And we're here to service our customers, because buying a vehicle and then going the other route, what's going to happen when that car has a problem or when you need our help for service? What do we do? Well, we're there to help you with that process. You see,
Yeah.
when that comes into play, you have to go back to value.
Right.
And that's one
Because
thing I
they don't
always touch on
understand-
too.
What they don't
Um,
understand is, why am I paying so much? All these prices are out there and all that. So at a professional level, you keep it where you go back into value selling, right? Because you have to identify the value of your product line.
And that's
And
something
that's
I was going to
important.
say there earlier too, Richie, because you mentioned, not to cut you off, but you mentioned something about automotive history, which is something that I'm very infatuated with. When the thing that mentally constipates me is when people don't understand that, see, features cost money. Those fancy leather seats that are also heated, there's a reason why this LTZ costs more than the LS model. It's not just because they want them to. And if you go back to like one of my cars that I've got a 1987 Chrysler Fifth Avenue that I love to death. And looking through the catalog for that car, you could have ordered it with leather seats instead of the crushed velvet, this, that, and the third. It has the price next to it of what that option costs. Now, in the recent years, you can't quite directly order from the manufacturer like you used to be able to, just because of all the laws and whatnot that have been put in place. But even on the window sticker, when you buy a car, it says right there, it'll say, leather seats, and it'll have an extra, $250 or whatever. And people just don't seem to read. They don't seem to comprehend that this is all included. So back to what you were saying, Richie, about building value, that is one of the things I definitely try to push forward. Is the reason why this truck isn't 18 grand is because you wanted the leather seats that are heated, or you wanted the V8 instead of the 3.5 liter. And then they just get upset. And
it used to be in the marketing materials, right? I mean, I remember like when I was like 20, I wanted to buy a Nissan Sentra. There was like a sporty version of it with a moonroof and a spoiler, and it was just a cool little car. And I was young, and it was, a Nissan Sentra back then was like 13 grand or something if you didn't get all the bells and whistles. But I remember opening the brochure for the car. They gave me this beautiful brochure, and it was like the base model, the different models, and then on the side it was like, do you want the spoiler? Do you want the moonroof? Do you want this? Do you want all these options, packages, and the prices and everything were there built out for you? And I was like, shit, okay, I guess I can't have the sport package. I'm 20 years old, but it wasn't like I went in, sat down with a salesperson, said, I'd like the sports package. And they were like, well, that's 21,000. And I'm like, what the hell? You sent me a brochure that said starting at 13, it was so out in the open back then, and, at least from my experience.
Yeah. Oh, you're 100% right, Lee. I mean, used to the amount of communication between the manufacturer and the customer, it actually existed. Nowadays, there seemed to be such a big disconnect between the two. I want to say it really started when the right to repair thing kind of got kicking around, where or whether or not you'd be able to work on your own vehicle and that sort of thing. I feel like that's really when it started. But I've got a little bit of an inkling that here in the past few years it started to come back. For example, Tim Kuniskis finally put the Hemi back in the Ram 1500 after being gone for, I think, 2 or 3 years. That's an example of listening to the masses,
Right.
But so many companies now are so focused on how much more money can we make and how much more money can we squeeze out of the consumer. It's become this opposition between the two, not a partnership like
Right.
it felt like
Right.
it used to be, 50 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. The problem is the pricing of the vehicles are way high, and there has to be more value selling than anything for the consumer to really understand. The stores that are making a change on that, it's about the reviews. And right now with the Federal Trade Commission, what's going on? Why did this happen in the automotive sector? Well, real simple. A customer goes in there and they just slam them on a car, and then they start adding these fees and these fees. And that's been going on for years. So
Right.
that's really dealing with really any value. That's dealing basically with this is what it is what it is. So now in the automotive sector, things are changing a little bit. Well, now with this Federal Trade Commission, it's going to really slow things down in the sales process. But the stores that are adapting to this are actually selling the vehicles for more pricing. And what's going to happen is your reviews are going to go up. They're just going to go, because now the customer, we're in a whole different type of arena now that is transparency wins. The customers want you to be transparent, and the voice of the customer is coming on board. They used to be, when this online thing started, J.D. Power said, whatever the customer picks online, 65% that's not what they're going to buy. Okay. Why? Because the customer looks at a BMW, that's the car that they want, that's their dream car. When they go and look at the payment, you got a problem. That's the difference between ShopSmart, because we focus on VIN specific leads, right? Which they pick the VIN number and the stock number, right? So what did we do? We put an average of a monthly payment there, right? They might not pick that car when they're shopping online because the payment's too high, but they'll pick the right vehicle. It makes it much easier for the conversion to happen. As versus if we don't have any monthly payments on the vehicle, customers just going to pick whatever, and then they go to the showroom, and now that's a whole different thing. So here's what happens. When a customer goes in the showroom with our vehicles, they already agreed more or less on the price, and that now it's about the car and the sales guy, right? Versus the opposite way, no payments. The customer's going to walk in there with his wife or his husband, her husband, and they're going to say, wait a minute, you work the numbers and now that payment's too high. And then that's when it works like this, right? When you get one of our customers and you do a demo, right, or whatever, and after you do the presentation, some people do demos, some don't. Based upon what we shared today, Mr. Jones, would this be the vehicle you would like to drive out today? Right? Well, yes. Okay, now you work the numbers, right? Back and forth. Now you got a monthly payment situation. Now they say, well, no, it's not. Now you know it's the price, right? Versus as you hit them up with, before you work the numbers, would this be the vehicle you would like to own? Now you're giving them right there the answer, yes or no, because sometimes you might have the customer on the wrong car, not because of the price. Right? Because maybe the equipment's not there. Maybe they don't like the color of the car, whatever. And now you can put them on a different car instead of working the deal back and forth. And then you think it's the price. And if they're not sold, at least on the vehicle.
Right. And they're not going to communicate that.
Right.
They're not going to. Right. You have to figure it out. You have to communicate it. Yeah.
Right. That's why you ask. Based upon what we shared today, would this be the vehicle you want to own? People will answer you questions, and questions are very important in the sales process, right? Because then the answer tells you what's next,
Right.
Somebody walks in, yes, Nick, this is the car I want to own. Now you give me back a number, and I'm like sticker shocked, and now there's a problem. So that's what was happening years ago when you didn't put the monthly payment on the vehicle, that they will flip it into something else because we were working it kind of a little bit wrong. Because even myself, I wouldn't even go into that. I would just go into the numbers.
Right.
Right. And once you are trained the right way, and you say that based upon what we shared today, boom, you flip them in. It's either that car or it's not.
Right.
And
Yeah.
especially in the used car business, because they might drive the car and they might not like the way the car drives.
Right.
Sometimes the longer wheelbase vehicles, or it has sometimes a vibration to it or something like that. And it's a safety issue, Sometimes they're driving today and they go over the line and the thing starts shaking because of a safety issue,
Yeah.
That's when you got to point out, Mr. Customer, that's the sensor. It's a safety issue, right? Sometimes that happens. And, it's very, very important. Can I ask you a question? Your process, right? Say you get a customer that comes in, right? And that customer asks you, like, okay, you're going to go in, you make the appointment and all that. Like, for an example, one of the things that really helps you when that customer comes in is you got to make sure that customer, when they jump in the car, they feel that that's their car. One of the things is, what radio station do you listen to, or what kind of music do you like? And make sure that you have that type of music on there.
Right.
And all you got to say is, we're taking a poll here of what kind of music our customers like.
Yeah.
So we understand what the music, right? And you put that on there. So when they jump in the car, they feel like, oh, okay, they got music on, right?
Yeah,
so
They
they
already feel
feel
like it's their car,
right,
because it's got their music on. Yeah, I see what you're
exactly. So you got to put that together, and that makes, believe it or not, something as little as that makes the sales much easier.
saying. All right,
The other
now,
thing is,
Richie.
when you give an introduction to when a customer walks into the showroom, right? You tell them, I got your car ready for you, right? They haven't even seen the car. I got your vehicle ready for you. It's all gassed up. Let's go for a demo ride. If you do a demo ride, right?
Yeah.
If you don't do a demo ride, it's a whole different thing. And once you put that customer in that position, you come back from the demo ride, you walk them into your showroom or to your lot or whatever. There's a receptionist there. Her name is Carol. Oh, Mr. Jones, after you purchase the vehicle, if you have any other questions, this is Carol. She'll be answering the phone. You got to throw that ownership 3 times in their brain, so that way the conversion is easier when you deliver the car.
Yeah. Man, I guess, maybe a good thing would be if people are single, you could get them a date and have the date waiting in the car and just take them on a date. Maybe, I don't know. That's something maybe I would try. And I think it
Nick,
would
do
blow
you
up
have a
my-
service department on your lot?
Not here. We don't have a service department on site, but we do have a partnership with a mechanic just down the road. We typically send our vehicles to, and we've got a couple other shops around here that we work with.
car wash and such.
Yeah. We'll if our detailer's busy, we'll run it down to Anthony's. It's we've got avenues to get work done. Absolutely.
That's cool. And you're I haven't seen your TikTok. Sorry about that. I didn't do my homework on that. But
It's all good.
do you actually appear in the videos, or are you just showing cars? Or
I do a lot of screening at my camera.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah. When I was selling, I did tons of every single day, 2-3 videos on the way to work, while at work, on the way home, and I found that it definitely made a difference. And a couple of times, I wasn't any kind of a big star or anything, but a couple of times I was in public and people recognized me, and it was it makes a difference if you're pumping out enough material. You got to be pumping out. Video is king for sure.
I did have someone text me one night. Is this the kid from Polar Express that now works at Southtown Motors? And I was just like,
actually, that just hit me. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Yeah, I was walking in the mall with my family, and randomly someone just said, "The Wolf of Car Street," because that's what people used to call me.
yeah,
And my used car manager came up with that. She was like, "You should be the Wolf of Car Street." So I called myself that on Instagram, did videos and Facebook and everything. And a couple of times people said something, and it's like, okay, well, at least maybe if they're coming in the showroom, it's a familiar face,
yeah.
But yeah, that's cool.
I think that it's much easier today, right, to sell a car because of all the technology we have, social media, this, that. Years ago, it used to be like if you were in the showroom and you weren't out there, there's no way you would be out there like you are today. It's much harder. You got to depend on walk-in traffic. Some guys would grab them, the other guys would grab it. You have an opportunity today in today's day world is that you're out there on TikTok and you get a lot of customers. As you know, I have a lot of those guys out there that I've put on the podcast. And, Jake does a great job with his podcast and does a great job with getting customers in the door, asking for him. He's does a great job.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And you're another guy that's out there that does a great job with the marketing perspective, with the videos, where people know you come up. You're always out there coming up. So the biggest thing is getting that customer in the door, which you're doing it with your follow-up process. And the other thing is everybody's going to come in and the price is going to be high. Let's face it. Nobody wants to spend $35,000. So they're thinking that $35,000, what about if I could do it for $25,000? You know what I mean? So that's when the value starts coming in and the value of you starts coming in, because you do have a value, as you're giving a quality service to the customer. And just consider this, you're in there, be more of a coach, help the customer, coach them through their sales process, because the customers don't know. They don't know what to expect. They don't know they just don't know. They do it every 4 years and we do it every day. Right.
And a lot can change in 4 years too, especially in the automotive industry.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, right.
Holy cow.
It's definitely, I do feel there has been a shift too, Richie, from a lot of people, like you said before, now it's just so infatuated, so focused on the price alone. I'm a little bit more old school. My philosophy is, do you like the car? Like, let's start there before we even get to numbers, because I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth with you to only find out, here's the Foursquare. I don't like that car. That would have been nice to know an hour and a half ago.
Right.
And so there certainly has been this sort of financial focus, and we've moved very far away, I think, from what makes some cars different. When I drive on the road, a lot of these SUVs that I'm seeing look almost identical. I miss the days of having distinctive styling.
I almost get in the wrong car every week. My car looks like a $100,000 Lexus. It's a Nissan. You can't tell the difference between stuff, except for a small window or it's like unbelievable.
They're getting a little uncreative nowadays. You're definitely right on that. And I can understand why, because of all the safety regulations that are now required by the FTC and this, that, and the third. You can only do so much with the body that you have. But one company I feel has done a really good job here lately, and it's something I actually used to say I'd never consider touching because I started at a Kia store. But in the past few years, Hyundai and Kia have really stepped up their game. The Genesis G90 Oh
Yeah.
my Lord.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, that's got everything I'm looking for in a
Oh, yeah.
full-size sedan, chrome grille up front, big chrome rims. Like
Yep.
we need more of that. Give me that stately and independent styling that
Yeah.
really sets you apart from the competition. Stop
Yeah.
looking like Fords, you know?
Yeah. A couple of times in the last 5 years, Kias have pulled up next to me, and I'd say to myself, what the hell did Honda do to the Accord? Holy cow. And then I look at it and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah. And in a million years, Hyundai and Kia to me was like tin boxes. No good.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's what I thought. And they have to put 100,000 miles on it for a reason. And that's like kind of was, but now it's like, wow, talk about contenders.
They
But-
have kind of taken the approach that Mopar did back in the day. And you had Plymouth, Dodge, and Chrysler. Well, now it's Kia, Hyundai, and Genesis. You know, with low, middle, and top. And honestly, I wish more manufacturers would still do that instead
Yeah.
of trying to make every single car a luxury car. There's no reason, in my opinion, right, why a Chevrolet Malibu should be a $35,000 car.
Right.
This just I can't justify that. Now, if you're looking at, say, a Buick or a Cadillac, okay, now you got some justification. But on a Chevy,
Yeah.
no, that just and I know too, part of it's from inflation the past few years and everything else, but it's the mindset. It's like you said, Kia and Hyundais were tin cans.
Yeah.
To me, Chevy's just a working man's car.
Yeah, they were the
More or less.
Samsungs. They were the Samsungs of the world, and now Samsung. It's the same thing. I used to
Yeah.
think Samsung, you know. But now they're like kings.
They
Yeah.
really are.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I've been in the car business a while, so to me, a car is nuts and bolts, right? I buy a car, nuts and bolts, car depreciates, gets in a car accident or whatever. The other day, I have a friend that I call him, and he goes out with me. So he comes in and he's got this Kia Icon electric vehicle. I don't really like electric cars, but this
Are you
car,
talking about the Hyundai Ioniq 5? The one
Yeah,
that's got the
correct.
square headlight? Yeah. I know what you're
man,
talking about.
I tell you what, I got in his car and all this, and man, was that a comfortable ride? Was that an unbelievable? What a vehicle that was! I mean, Tesla dominates the electric vehicles. That car is made like unreal. When you talk about comfort, performance, the big dashboard giving you so much information about what you're driving to, what it's going to save you. It tells you what's going to save you if you go through this route. What tremendous technology, how it has you mapped out on the road trip. And voice command and all this kind of stuff. Wow, like unbelievable. When I saw this car, it really like made me, wow, cars are now becoming more than just nuts and bolts now. You know, I mean, all this technology in the car is wow. Yeah. And it tells him right on his Bluetooth, it's connected. It communicates with him about the road. Man, I tell you what, it's like unbelievable, the technology. I think we're going to start seeing these cars that fly themselves because we're already used to this car communicating with us, right? Navigation wise. So soon you're going to see these things fly. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, it's amazing to me. I don't get really impressed by any cars. Well, this car really, really impressed me. And when you look at the price of it, you can get the basic one for 60 grand, right? And the top of the line one for 80,000. Man, tell you what. And they have a rebate on it for for you to save the electric thing and all that. So it comes out pretty good deal. And I mean, you got Jeeps that are 100 grand now, So I mean, buying that, the kind of money that's going to save. So he tells me every 350 miles I got to fill up. And I says, okay, how much is it to fill up? About $24. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And not only that, you got really a vehicle that's maintenance free. Just you need brakes, tires, basically that's it. Other than that, you got something that's wow. I mean, you're saving on that side a ton of money. So the automotive industry, and that's the value that you got to show a customer what a car is today. That's why a car has that kind of value, because the breakdown, it's so much different today than it was when you bought a car. That's why cars were not, everybody wanted to negotiate the car down to the T. Cars are not really, in the last decade, cars are not breaking down as much as they were. Cars are more lasting because of the technology, whether it's a motor car, an electric car. So these are types of values that we know, but the customer that comes in to buy a car last 4 or 5 years, they don't know.
Right.
So, and it's important. Nick, let me ask you a question. How many cars does your dealership deliver a month?
A month depends on the business, but we typically try to shoot for about 15 to 25 a month. We are a smaller dealership too, so.
And how many vehicles? You have quite a good inventory. How many
Right now,
vehicles do you have?
I got somewhere between 30 and 40 cars at the moment. We are trying to restock some stuff. As we said before, the getting some inventory has been funny lately, just with everything that's happening outside of the automotive industry, but still affecting us. And so it's just a matter of trying to stay afloat right now. But typically we try to have at least about 50 cars on the lot, and try to move them out pretty quickly.
How long you been in that dealership?
I've been here for a little over 4 years.
So you saw the whole thing with COVID while the market was really high. You remember that, right? You couldn't get enough cars.
I was actually still at River Chase Kia at that time, and I remember there was a point where the only new cars we had on the lot were 2 Kia Soul Turbos. Everything else was used or certified pre-owned, it was a nightmare to try to get anything. We were paying new vehicle prices for stuff at auction almost. It was Jesus. I would have had a better time watching paint dry probably. But lately, once that all kind of, and I know we're still recovering to an extent from that. COVID just was a mess. But lately, I do think things have gotten better. They're not quite back to pre-COVID prices and whatnot. I don't think they ever will be, just because of how the economy works and history and this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
But I think we could get close if we try. And speaking of the FTC, do y'all remember when, I believe it was, I think Trump looked at the automakers and was basically why are the prices so expensive right now, after he went over to Japan and saw their K cars and whatnot. They were supposed to have a congressional hearing on January 16th where he was going to speak with all the automakers, and it was going to be live on YouTube, and then it got postponed or something. But from what I understand, the whole point of it is to try to put forward whatever's necessary legally to be able to have affordable cars again, to have competition in the automotive market, and not just a stalemate, to make it exciting for consumers again. And that's the kind of thing I've been waiting for, because let's be honest, who's going to pay $50,000 for a new car right now if they can't afford it? But if you have a brand new car that's from Toyota or Nissan or someone that is relatively known for their reliability, and you're paying $13,000 for it, that's going to get more people in the door. That's going to get your sales going up. That's going to get people happy and talking about the vehicle. It's going to get people excited. But right now, there's nothing really to be excited about.
Yeah.
Nick, let me ask you this: do you have, because in a used car dealership, there's a couple of departments that also generate revenue. Like, do you have a special finance department?
No, we have a finance department. Yeah.
Are you catering to those customers that need basic transportation, that the credit might not be that great, that it's a little spotty? Do you have that department?
No, we actually have several different banks that specialize in helping people out in certain XYZ credit situations, whether it be, divorce, bankruptcy, whatever. We got banks that'll still pick those people up.
Which is good, that's a really, really good niche there, because you can do outreach to bring in those customers that you can deliver a car that are looking for that basic transportation that doesn't necessarily have to be a Corvette or anything like that. So it could be, customers need cars to drive around. Some used car dealerships in the country also cater to the Uber drivers and the Lyft drivers. Right. And that's another opportunity for your used car dealership to start selling some cars more, So you figure one department does 6, 7, the other department does 6, 7. So, I mean, the DoorDash thing, the Lyft and the Uber, you got to start promoting that we cater to these type of customers, because those are the customers that are going to be driving that 200, 300 miles a day, because for you to make anywhere between 800 to 1,500, you got to drive 300 miles a day.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So, and those customers are repeat business. You sell one, you're going to sell them much quicker, because if you take 300 miles a day times, say, 5 days, you're putting a lot of miles on the car. Yeah, in 1 year, that car gets 35, 40,000 miles real fast. 2 years, boom, that's it, done. So depending on what your miles are that you deliver the car, you got that repeat business going. You got to find out these other opportunities that are going to start bringing in some more deals.
Right.
So you're saying maybe on like one of my TikTok videos as the hook, this car would be perfect if you are door dashing or something like that, and you need good fuel economy in the city.
Right.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Cater to those people. We try to, when we generate some leads, we try to generate those type of leads, because now when somebody's using a vehicle to make money, now price does not become an obstacle. That's why a lot of used car stores are doing that. It's just like the commercial truck world, right? Yeah. You sell commercial trucks. I sold commercial trucks with General Motors for a long time, right? A commercial truck is a tool to either a landscaper or a construction person or whatever. Dump trucks, they're not looking at what that vehicle price is. They're looking at what this vehicle can make me. Right. Well, it's the same thing with Uber. And it's the same thing with, if they're not looking at that price, they're looking at what is this vehicle going to make me?
Right. Yeah.
And now that's a whole different type of opportunity that you have there.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is promote the same way you do in a video. Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash customers are welcome. We have a program or whatever you talk to the dealer about, because that's another opportunity that you're going to get, because those folks definitely trade in cars, and those folks definitely are always looking for cars.
Right. All right. Awesome. So, Nick, plug the place. How do you want them to find you? For people that are seeing the area.
You guys can find me on all social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube. At Highball Auto Sales is my handle, or come see me in person at Southtown Motors in Pelham, Alabama at 2841 Pelham Parkway, or even give me a call at 205-920-8391.
Awesome. And what was that handle again?
It is Highball Auto Sales.
Highball Auto Sales. Awesome. And you're on all platforms. Richie, you got anything else to add before we wrap up the show?
No, that's it. I want to thank Nick for coming in, and thanks a lot, Lee.
Thank you guys for having me.
And I
Yeah.
really look forward, Nick, and sitting down with you after this podcast and getting things together.
Sounds good, Richie.
Yeah,
Gentlemen,
and
it's been
actually,
a pleasure.
hang out for 1 minute after the show because I just want to ask you a couple of things. And
No
thanks
problem.
again for being here. It was a lot of really solid information for our audience. Thank you.
Of course, I had a lot of fun.